Alright, welcome back everyone to Game 2 for Week 6 of the LJL Super Week. Continuing, and for today, for this next game, we have Hawks Gaming returning to bat after yesterday's games, while Sengoku going to be the ones taking them on. And coming out of last game, I'm a little bit... You've restored my faith in you, Sengoku. And I'm glad to see it, honestly, because when you're talking about a team like Sengoku, who has made such strides and had such an amazing performance in the spring split of this year, I love seeing them come out the gates swinging. I love to see them that they not only recognize their early game style and are willing to try and fight that out strong, they play it very effectively, fairly clean game, don't drop the ball in a whole lot, not a whole lot of windows that they had opportunity to fight back from. I think Burning Core did play a solid game overall. I think Burning Core might have just been a little bit too eager to try and start fighting in this game. They definitely was a couple points that they could have given over a little bit more than they did. All of that being said, though, it's going to be Hawks Gaming's time to try and find a victory here. And Hawks Gaming, coming off of a win of their own yesterday against Detonation Focus Me. And Hawks Gaming have quite the hard week for them today versus Sengoku, and then following this one will be V3 Esports. So, Hawks Gaming, these are two very hard-fought victories if you want to be making your playoff run. That being said, you just saw Axes take a game off of Sengoku yesterday. So are you going to be able to pull the same? And there's sort of a couple of different ways that these drafts could go. Hawks could easily start to, or just kind of resign that they're not going to get all of the tools that they want to run their typical aggressive fashion, their typical dive fashion that they enjoy so much. They can take a back seat a little bit if they want to ban away some of these more aggressive options from Sengoku after seeing back-to-back wins on those picks from them. And they might try to set up the draft a little bit differently. But that said, with Bard reaching an 80% win rate and Ash being flung into such high priority, Hawks Gaming may have a couple of decisions on their mind of how they're going to start running this draft. You'll have the B1 pickup, so we would likely be seeing a couple things, or a lot of the draft even shown in that first part, as I wouldn't be surprised if this is the game that we just start seeing Bard outright banned, as not a whole lot of teams are figuring out how to play defensively enough around that Tempered Fate. All of that being said, though, I definitely feel like Hawks Gaming has a chance in this one. Their game against DFM looked fairly coherent. They have been having okay drafts so far. And although I do tend to talk about how I think the bear is just wildly overpopulated in the LJL metascape, Hawks Gaming were the team that did pilot the bear to success. So, not a terrible option. I'm really hoping that Hawks Gaming are continuing to move their meta advancements along instead of just regressing into older style picks. That being said, that'll all still come in the draft. And when we're talking about the overall story of where Hawks Gaming is and where they're hoping to end up, I do think they are one of the teams that can still make playoffs. The unfortunate part for them is they have kind of a couple gatekeepers. When your gatekeepers are Burning Core and Detonation Focus Me as the gatekeepers to the playoff spots, it's very difficult for Hawks to be trying to find their way in here. But you've already taken a game off of DFM, so take one off of Sengoku, and your spot becomes a lot more realistic, especially with DFM having a little bit of a potentially harrowing week for them today, but those are matches for them. And for Sengoku Gaming, I do kind of want to touch a bit on how they have been operating as a team and the overall performances that they've had. Because we've seen 2 back-to-back performances now of Sengoku playing very efficiently on aggressive picks. They were on the map, they just kind of played it clean and by the books. Which makes me ever the more curious of what was different in your game against Axes that you not only lost, but just were absolutely not on the map as anywhere. There was just zero action coming out of the side of Sengoku. So that's definitely going to be a match that we would look forward to VOD reviewing a little bit later on. But if you are Hawks Gaming here, that should be a match that you would hopefully have had time to look at and see if you can replicate those same scenarios. Not a whole lot of time between games, however. So, sort of reaping the benefits of watching a game like that and seeing what went wrong for Sengoku is not always on. It's not as not on the table for Hawks as you played 2 games yesterday. You got 2 more today. There's not a whole lot of time to be prepping picks like that. While we're waiting for the match to get started along here, I definitely am very eager to see what Hawks Gaming are bringing to the table, as we're going 1-1 yesterday, but against the team of DFM, you gotta win. So what is it going to be when you're matching up against teams that are currently seated a little bit higher? And are there any tricks that you've acquired in these off weeks to hopefully try and work your way in there? Hold on one moment. And while we are getting things moved along here, one of the other points I do want to talk about when you're looking at a team like Hawks Gaming has kind of been the story of their identity, which has grown across this split especially. So, dialing back as we look back into our history books a little bit, looking at the spring split, I definitely feel like Hawks Gaming was a team that had a very set style, and even after they picked up some new-ended players, with Aramik entering in on the top lane, they were able to find still consistent value. They were able to give him picks like the Wukong, and they were able to kind of run that dive style, but Wukong has kind of fallen from the graces of the meta as of recent. And for the LJL specifically, and for Hawks Gaming specifically, I'm a little bit saddened to see that. I would almost like to see them kind of have this return to form, where they're able to brawl, they're able to come in, they're able to do a lot with that kind of all-in style. If you have a player or if you have a rookie who's coming up, has experience on Wukong, give him the Wukong again. Let him start running it. Let's pick drafts around it. Fortunately for Hawks Gaming, though, they have had success on playing some more team-oriented styles. They did play the Aphelios to a decent effect, as well as I think they had an early win against Rascal Jester with an Ashe pickup, even before Ashe was really starting to show her head into the meta. All of that being said, though, I think Hawks Gaming, if there is a time where you want to be picking aggressive picks and you want to say, all right, we're going to run a dive, the comp that we currently have is starting to support that, where you're having Jin start to show up as a little bit more of a catch-oriented AD carry, and then you can run the diving end on the top side. Ashe kind of does the same thing. Bard showing up into that meta. There's ways to set that up. So if Hawks Gaming are kind of thinking of how to play to some of their strengths, I would hopefully like to be seeing that. Part of that is, of course, that might be something that you're looking to save for playoffs, but right now, you're on the breaking point. Hawks Gaming are currently not one of the teams that would make playoffs if season was over right now. They would not be in playoff spot. So they're going to need to start busting out their last couple tricks. They want to make a break for that playoff spot, but we'll see what is on the menu for Hawks Gaming here. Starting things off with the Renekton ban, and one thing I would kind of look to expect from Sengoku is exactly that. Things like the Aphelios ban and other tools just kind of remove, so you can hopefully start to set up desirable scenarios if Sengoku want to return to their to their early style Sin to win comps. As Hawks Gaming, there it is, the Bard ban, finally reaching the ban table. Especially after NT found a couple good later game fight wins off the back of that Bard ultimate. I am very excited to see that Hawks Gaming are at least paying attention and watching those games, and coming out of yesterday say, alright, we need to get this off the table. We'll learn how to play around it later, but with this little period of adjust, you barely have any time to adjust realistically between yesterday's week 5 and today's week 6. It's Twisted Fate and Lee Sin also hitting the ban table there. Tussle definitely one of, I think, the better Lee Sins in the LJL, so is understandable there, as Set also going to be banned away. And Hawks Gaming, they're going to first pick the Ashe here. Like I said before, I think Ashe is actually a decent blind pick for the LJL right now, just given the state of the meta. It's telling of your AD role. You put the position on Sengoku that they need to be drafting their AD in this first half here, but they do lock in the Jhin immediately in response. So sort of this has kind of been the ping pong back and forth, is the B1 Ashe into the R1 or R2 Jhin. So right now, picking AD carries that offer a little bit more support to the team, rather than outright being, you know, a damage dealer like Misfortune or something like that. It's kind of been the name of the game, but Blank gonna be getting the Nidalee once again, as Hawks Gaming gonna be picking up the bear here. And Zoe as well is going to be locked in. Is a little bit dangerous because LeBlanc is still open, and we just saw Pyrian mopping up a couple of those early fights here. Sengoku are just going to be happy to pick themselves up almost the exact same comp that they had in the last game. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sengoku still have to lock in this LeBlanc. I suppose there still could be time for change, but Pyrian's going to lock that one in. LeBlanc does have a decent lane matchup into Zoe as well. In the later ends of the game, Zoe's damage does become a little bit easier if she has the right setup. But Pyrian is just so good at looking for flanks and trying to pick apart fights at the seams, that keeping this Zoe safe is going to be quite the chore for Hawks Gaming. And we'll see Sengoku banding away Mordekaiser from the top side here, while Hawks Gaming, if you don't want to let Sengoku have the exact same comp that they had before, wouldn't be surprised to see like a Thresh ban coming through, or depends on how closely Hawks Gaming were watching Sengoku's last game. And now Aatrox is going to be hitting the ban field. Aatrox as well is a little bit same style, very somewhat Sinner-esque. But with Renekton already banned away, they're slowly starting to dwindle out the number of very fighty top laners that can still be locked in here for Sengoku. It's Wukong as well, gonna be taken away from Aramik there, which only leaves a number of the fighty top laners left. I wouldn't be surprised if Hawks Gaming were to start looking at things like a Kennen for their comp. It wouldn't synergize the best with the Zoe, but one thing that we had kind of seen is this combination of Volibear and Kennen showing up hand in hand, and with an Ash arrow to start setting them up, it does offer some potential, but Sengoku this time going to be going for the Nautilus, passing over on the Thresh, and picking that one up for themselves. Now, what will we see Hawks Gaming going for? I was going to say the Thresh likely is just going to be the response into the Nautilus. Now, Nautilus is decent as far as the lane matchup into Hawks Gaming. As you can, there is that old, you know, what we talked about this a lot earlier on in the split, where Nautilus can kind of throw Dredge Line in reaction to Death Sentence, and it will hit beforehand. But there it is, as I called it, the Kennen picked up by Hawks Gaming, while Sengoku have one final pick to be eyeing up here. As Gnar going to be locked in as well. Range v range top lane, as we'll give him a little bit of security there. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Opperman isn't looking for something like a Jace here, as we have seen Jace as a popular pickup into Kennen specifically. There is also Sylas, which is very popular to pick into Kennen, but the unfortunate part is that Sylas comes on a little bit too late for Sengoku to be looking at, while the rest of their comp is really needing to get out onto this map early. So for Sengoku, second verse very similar to the first, while Hawks Gaming a little bit in different directions as far as where their damage is being profiled. And I'm a little bit worried for this Kennen pick. I did call it as it came in, but I am a little bit worried that the Kennen is not going to be able to find very reliable ulti targets. Champions like Jin and Nidalee are just going to be throwing spells from afar until they get the desirable setup. Then they will be entering into range of the Slicing Maelstrom. As well as LeBlanc is just a very hard target to lock down as a Kennen. So getting ultis off on key members is going to be a little bit difficult. Sure, you have it as a defensive tool once the engage happens, but you're going to have to work to make sure that Sengoku, sort of the, I always like to relate this a little bit more to fighting games, and which is a little bit more to my background, where in the neutral, Sengoku definitely have, I would almost call it like, Sengoku has a number of fireballs and projectiles to make it too difficult for Hawks Gaming to start things up. And once they take an engage and they go for an opening, will Kennen really get the time to respond? Will he really have time to do the damage that he needs to? But in the same light, you do have Ash Volleys to help slow on advances. As well as if Zoe's able to find any key members slept, that would also be a pretty good look for him. As we're looking at the team stats here, you can see Sengoku padding their first place stats on the gold and XP differentials by the 15-minute mark. Their last game as well, I believe, spoke to that same volume. That being said, Hawks Gaming are no strangers to getting action started early. Mixed results, but against a team like Sengoku, if you know how to play an early game style, I'd hope you'd know how to defend against it. So it'll still be told to time as we wait for the match to get started up here. Do want to just quickly say thank you all for tuning in today. I am Dr. No. I do all of the English broadcasting for the LJL. For those of you who've heard this already before, I know you know, but for those of you just tuning in, if you guys are interested, feel free to drop a follow. I do all of the LJL English broadcasts, including other LJL content. I do analytical content. I have a series called Doctor's Orders where I break down different teams, different games, and different split long analyses of what's happening. I did one most recently on Detonation Focus Me. If you guys are interested in that kind of thing, you can drop a follow here or drop a follow over on my Twitter. which is going to be in the little description area down below. Feel free to drop a follow there. I do really appreciate it. We're on the slow road back up to 50 followers, but all of that being said, we're looking at... If you're asking for a little bit of a post-draft prediction, I'm gonna have to hand this one to Sengoku. I feel like Hawks Gaming are suffering from an issue that I often talk about in the LJL of an undervalue of defensive tools. And this time, Hawks Gaming did ban away the set, which is, I think, one of the more adept defensive champions in the game right now, but most notably, I think Hawks Gaming just kind of... The Volibear does not posture as a defensive champion. He is... While he has a stun, his ultimate doesn't posture very defensively. His E can kind of be a zoning tool, but it's not a great one. Cannon can be defensive with the ultimate, but it's not exactly the ideal usage. I personally would have liked to see things maybe a little bit more akin to a Maokai, or things that can zone just a little bit better from the side of Hawks Gaming, because once Sengoku gets that snowball rolling, it's a hard one to stand in front of. So we'll see if Hawks Gaming are able to weather the storm any better than Burning Core was, or if Hawks Gaming's wings are going to be clipped.
ただ序盤からガンクということになりますと、その先ほどのチームスタッツ出ていた KA では福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングの方が上回ってたわけですから、望むところですよね。そうですね、それは間違いないと思います。さらにはSHG としてはレイトゲーム構成をして序盤何もできずに終わってしまうというような試合がいくつかあるにもかかわらず、KA15 の時の数値が9、平均9キル以上生み出しているといったところを考えると、実際にこういうアグレッシブな序盤の構成をした時もっと高いんですよね。ですからこの試合、そのタス選手の動きは注目のポイントになると思いますね。自分たちが得意な動き、そしてそれに合わせた構成というのを今回取ることができているという中で、タスするの働きというところに注目です。いやー、そのタスの働きと、ここまで散々申し上げてきましたけれども、ただとはいえダッシャービリアンのこのマッチアップは非常に楽しみですね。さあ、それではもう間もなくゲームスタートです。さあ始まりました LJL2020 サマースプリットウィーク6ゲーム2、福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング VS 戦国ゲーミングスタートです。
And as we get things started up here, looking across the runes here, fairly traditional runes, although most notably, I'm looking at blank with that Conqueror. And I think this is partially blank kind of returning to, or at least I would expect a similar build from blank in the last game as this one, now that I'm seeing him pick up the Conqueror. We did see him build into Roa second item on the Nidalee last time. It takes a little bit of early potency away from the Electrocute proc and doesn't offer you the same Dark Harvest threat, but it does help when it comes to these more brawly kind of fights, and especially if you're expecting to get caught out by Tussle at all, it's not a bad idea for Sengoku to be, or at least for blank specifically, to be looking at that. We'll see how things go for him, as it does look like he is opting to clear up on his blue side. Well, on the bottom end of things, and Hawks Gaming is going to find a crit to the face from our friendly Jin there, and I do kind of enjoy that Jin is swinging his head around into the meta. I've actually talked about it before, as I think Jin is a champion that had a lot to offer, and he's kind of been finding his home here in the LJL. Now, you can see here blank stats on the Nidalee. has been quite impressive. 91% KP on Nidalee, and that's just really goes to show how good Blank can be when he wants to get his little cat nose in everyone's business, while also just keeping great pace in farm with a lot of other junglers. Did get outpaced a little bit by Burning Core in the last game, but what he was able to net on the map was well worth it. And it does look like Blank is opting for a full clear here before he takes his first crab, and you can see the farm speed that Nidalee offers to junglers, as both junglers here are really going for almost a full clear. It does look like Tussle is going to be skipping out on his Krugs in order to secure that bottom crab. Now, not a whole lot of gank opportunity on the bottom side of things. Opperman was the more susceptible of the two, but recognizing that if Blank shows up to that, that's not exactly a fight you can win out on. Kennen kind of doesn't offer a whole lot early. You do have a stun, but a lot of that damage ends up coming from items, and when you go for the Doran's Blade start, you're not getting any AP ratios out. You're mainly relying on your auto attacks for that. And in the top lane, Opperman's going for a little bit of a trade here. Bounced under turret range and was able to somehow make that trade almost even. Did take a little bit more from an unexpected turret shot. I don't think he meant to go quite that far. But while his ward is up, he's saying that he would like to be as aggressive as he can. I don't think that Hawkshot spotted Blank, but that Vision Cone will definitely do it for him. And when you're talking about this kind of a game where Sengoku are likely going to be the ones to dish out the first blow, you're kind of wondering where it's going to come from. And if Hawks Gaming has the right reads, they'll know to just pass over this Cloud Drake. This is not an objective worth fighting for. But I wouldn't be surprised if on the side of Hawks Gaming, there's sort of this notion in the LJL of trying to trade, okay, well, we lost first Drake, but we'll get first Rift Herald. And in the moments where Hawks Gaming are going to try to rotate a lot of members up for that, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we start to see First Blood. So likely have a little bit of time before we see First Blood coming out. Well, Sengoku are going to grab themselves up a Cloud Drake. Uncontested in that department, but will help out towards the little bit later ends of the game. It is actually fairly nice to see a Cloud Drake on the opener, as you now know that the soul that you will have on the Rift sheds a little bit more value, and we'll see what soul options are left for us in this kind of a game. But Sengoku, as the early game team, you're more likely to be getting those first two Drakes. It's good to know that it's going to be one that can net you a little bit more yield than a Cloud Soul, especially with ulti CDR not exactly meaning the most for Sengoku's team. Blank and Opperman both aren't great users of the Cloud ulti CD cooldown. Ulti CD reduction, excuse me. It's been a long 2 days as we are on game 10 of 16 for today, but we're going to be sticking it strong throughout this stream and keeping this LJL action coming, as for right now, CS staying fairly even all the way across, as Dasher should be able to pick up all of these minions here. Losing out slightly on the CS lead, but that's sort of expected from this lane. It is kind of hard for Dasher to get all the damage out. Good dodge out on that distortion there. And when you're looking at the vision game a little bit ahead of this Herald Drake timer, you can see a couple deeper wards from the side of Hawks Gaming that are just trying to set up in preparation for Sengoku. You want to keep a couple tabs on where Nidalee is. Finding Blank out is going to be their key to getting at this Rift Herald if they want it, or at least keeping this bot lane safe, as Honey's already been down to about half HP. Blank wandering around here, trying to top off a little bit on HP. Is going to be spotted out on that pink ward as a couple of pings are going out here. Armic back to the top lane, freshly teleported. Knows there's no dragon up for a little while, so he will have a fairly safe teleport. Opperman and Armic handshaking their teleports up towards the top lane. But you can see Sengoku rotating. They're going to be the ones rotating 5-member strong. They will be losing a minion wave to the bot lane here. But Sengoku want to be here in force, and a couple of pings are coming out from Hawks Gaming that they want to be onto this Rift Herald. I really would like to see Hawks Gaming possibly taking a little bit more of a tentative approach to this, but won't say that it's unexpected for Hawks Gaming to want this one. Tussle's going to be the one leading the charge here. He's going to be able to clear out onto that Jin trap there, wandering up. The Baron is on everyone's mind. Blank being forced a decent amount away, but Pyrion's on a flank here. Half HP, that's going to be Dasher going down. Nobody can grab the Rift Herald just yet, but Armic goes forward. The Slicing Maelstrom not going to find any value. Enty's kind of caught out in an awkward spot here, but he will likely be losing his life as First Blood. Dasher's going to be the one picking that one up. While Sengoku... Oh, the Crystal Arrow is going to find Opperman. Not going to be able to use the Gnar hop to safety. And that's going to be 2 over to Hawks Gaming. Well, Sengoku do make their way out with the Rift Herald. They end up losing 2. Top lane and support both falling for that cost. And we'll watch this one more time. So, I sort of go to Armic and the top end of this fight. After Pyrion gets a little bit of damage, Armic makes a call to try and come over the wall with the Slicing Maelstrom. He's not able to find a whole lot of value, but Enty just kind of takes a poor position to flash to as he flashes in deep. And Sengoku look for a little bit of a chase to see if they can salvage anything more than just losing their support for this one. And while Opperman doesn't have the same escape route as the rest of his team, he ends up eating a Crystal Arrow. Not the worst members of the team to lose if you are Sengoku. Losing your top laner doesn't feel the best, especially when Opperman is really going to need to be a bit tankier when it comes to trying to get all-ins and be the realistic only frontline once he has Mega that Sengoku has to offer in this kind of a comp. But for now, the Mountain Drake is going to be the next order of business for Sengoku, as they have a decent amount of vision control already. Tussle is going to help Dasher try to shove up the minion wave, because you want to be able to get onto that one, but that's going to be the dredge line down onto Honey. The Lantern should be able to keep him safe in the end, but a beautifully buffered dredge line from Enty there. It's actually going to keep him safe for now, as Pooh's going to just tank up that curtain call. But it's actually, this won't be a fight that Pyrion is really showing up to, because Dasher as Zoe loves objective fights like this, where if you can get set up in a position that you're just throwing spells out and around, makes it that much harder for the enemy team to really walk up and contest objectives. But Pyrion does a great job of just spamming spells out on the wave. You want to keep Dasher in lane as opposed to posing threats onto the bot side there. But for now, it will be kept relatively even, as gold lead is in Hawks Gaming's favor, as they did pick up two of the first kills here, and first blood gold over to them. The benefit for Sengoku is that you're halfway to Soul, and when Soul is something like Ocean, it's going to be a potential fight here in the top lane. I was going to say, I don't think either of them really have entire kill pressure on each other, but might have done enough damage to support a dive here. Blank's looking for a way over the wall. Throws down the trap. He's going to spot out Tussle, who's also looking to help defend his top laner. You can see Pyrion is going to be first to the roam here. Will Blank be able to fire off into this top side? But it looks like Sengoku are going to make the call to back away. The support roaming up here. So that's going to be a sleepy trouble bubble. The flash from Pyrian is not going to get him too far away. But will get chunked out to about half HP there. As they all spawn up the Rift Herald, they're going to try and take advantage of having this many members rotated up and see if they can keep them away from the other lanes. While the rest of Sengoku are looking at this bottom side. Rift Herald will charge, get a couple turret plates off there, but not a whole lot of value that this Rift Herald was ever really going to get in that scenario. There's already this many members up here. It's not going to be a turret push. But it's all about pulling members around the map for the most part. Where Pyrian lost a little bit of gold here by rotating up so early and then getting chunked out to about half HP. Dasher was picking up a decent amount of minions before he had to rotate. But that gold was kind of immediately traded back. It's a huge chunk onto him. He's going to throw down the Ignite as well. Pyrian's going to be a little bit low on HP and worse for wear in the mid lane department. But he does have teleport, so isn't too worried about having to deal with a chunk like that. But that is Dasher showing exactly what the Zoe offers to the mid lane here. As Pyrian's playing a dangerous game, still trying to stay in this lane. Sengoku are kind of trying to bait bait Dasher forward while NT is already rotated into position. Hawks Gaming have decent vision control on the bottom side of the river, but with Rift Herald going to be the next objective up, is that exactly where you want your members to be? 720 gold from the turret plates over to Sengoku. As it seems right now, Sengoku haven't been able to find all of the value early on in the map that you might otherwise expect, but with the turret in the top lane almost going down, Sengoku's objective control is really what's netting them value in this game. And they're going to look to continue that reign. As they are kind of baiting around here, they're just kind of, they're looking to see if any members of Hawks are going to be contesting, but Hawks Gaming on the other end of the map, Tussel's looking for any amount of blue camps available to hopefully try and trade a little bit of gold back, but Sengoku did a good job of scouring away that side of the jungle before that happened. Well, now the curtain call's gonna go down. That's just gonna be one free lantern. Was a little bit of an ambitious ulti there by the Jhin, but zoning them away from the mid lane will mean they'll have a little bit of time to do damage there and hopefully set it up for one Rift Herald charge, followed shortly by Blank securing that one in the mid lane. Honey gonna be picking up the bot lane turret as well, and this time a little bit interesting is Sengoku's Yotoro Meyash did opt immediately for the Infinity Edge, which does give you a little bit more early damage, but doesn't offer the same utility as the Storm Razor. So, possibly thinking that they're going to need a little bit more of the damage on that end of things, and it does seem that my earlier prediction will come to pass as Blank is also opting into the Roa. But right now, Sengoku's in a great position spawning up that Rift Herald. They will be able to get the mid lane turret off of this charge and trade that pressure over to objective positioning around this Drake. Mid lane turret's going down, and Hawks have cleared away the Rift Herald for now. Walking back into this objective is the dangerous part, as Sengoku looks to play the river as best as they can. Teleport's coming in. That's going to be Kennen off on the flank. Who's going to find out? NT, drag him in a little bit. He'll be going down first, but not after the Zanya buys a little bit of time. Aramic is reconvened with his team, but they've zoned them away from the Ocean Drake, as now Pyrian, not going to find any value, gets actually crystal arrowed and knocked down. That's two over to the side of Hawks Gaming with none to show for it on the side of Sengoku. With another one down, Hawks Gaming are looking at a 5-0 lead against Sengoku. all of these objective fights have just gone Hawks' way. What started, this is just kind of going bad to worse from Hawks Gate, or for Sengoku, where last time you got the objective but you lost 2 kills. Now you've lost 3 kills, and you don't end up securing the Ocean Drake. So the teleport starts coming in, and you can see a couple pings from Sengoku. They know where he is, but he ends up scaring off so many members, and they're not able to stay in to secure this Drake in the end. And then at that point, you've held Arrow for so long, and that's really what I would like to what I'd like to praise Honey for specifically in this series is he has been holding Arrow the whole time while Sengoku are waiting for them to waste an ultimate to send something out early. Before they even have to use the Ash ultimate, they're already routing members of Sengoku, and then they're just using it to pad their gold stats. But Pyrion looking for a little bit of padding of his own, trying to find a good chunk on a dasher, but the trade damage might be more than Pyrion wanted, taking that distortion over the wall. As Sengoku, they're playing the early game team, but they're about 2k gold behind right now. I do question Ping a little bit, Aramik, as he did go for the Morello in this one. It does kind of help with Blank, I suppose, who does have Conquer and does have a little bit of healing there, but is somewhat of a head scratcher coming out from Aramik. There's not a whole lot of healing on this side of the map, but that being said, having the extra pen from the Morellonomicon is not a bad deal, especially with how much time he's spending with Opperman alone in these side lanes, who already has 2 magic resist items. Personally, would have just liked to have seen him go straight for a magic pen item if that's what he's buying it for, but that will be aside the point, as you can probably hear LS maulding not too far off. That, or that is a sound of the mariachi band playing from my neighbor's house. I do not know whose party it is, but a party they will be having. And speaking of parties, Hawks Gaming would be happy to be having a party on this one, as my stream is going to buffer and I'm going to be sad. We're right back into it. Don't worry. Nobody go anywhere. But this is looking good for Hawks Gaming, is what I was going to get at there. They're in a great spot. They're ahead of Sengoku right now. The objective control is still in their favor, but the gold advantage will mean that Sengoku are still getting ahead. And why is my stream buffering? Hold on one moment. I'm going to well, I'll hold that thought, because Pyrian's going to look for an opportunity on the Tussle to deal a little bit of damage, as the chase is on. Opperman is still here. Why is my stream buffering now? Opperman is going to force the ultimate out from Tussle, as he's going to get out over the wall. They should be able to trade Poo for that Sin, as Blank's going to find that kill there. I'm going to refresh the stream for a moment. Hold on one moment, everyone. We're right in the middle of a team fight. I do apologize for having to cut that one out, but it looks like Blank is going to be going down here. That's 3 dead, excuse me, on the side of Sengoku Gaming, and Hawks Gaming may have just found themselves barren. I could not even tell you how that happened. I do apologize for that. I think my internet is being a little bit throttled today, and I can't exactly do a whole lot about that, but we'll see what we can make the most of it, as Sengoku's trying to make the most of their pretty bad situation here, as Pyrion and Yutomiyashi harassing as much as they can over the wall. Dasher's very low. If Sengoku's able to get onto him, but Yutomiyashi just can't afford to walk up this much. They really should be sending it now, as eventually they're going to go in onto Dasher, but the exhaust is going to keep him from dying. And that's going to be Pyrion losing his life as well. 9-1. 5k gold lead, and right now, Hawks Gaming have all of the pressure. So we'll watch this fight to catch us all back up. So Honey's the one who I think is going to start walking in here when Sengoku are just looking around this Baron. Dasher's the first one to start this off. Enti gets a good hook, but the Zanyas buys him so much time, and then Honey just can kite this out at his leisure with the empowered autos and the W volleys, just to slow down Sengoku, where Sengoku, they can punch hard when they're swinging, but when they're on the back foot, Hawks Gaming's time to shine comes through, and although Sengoku were able to pick up the Ocean Drake and get themselves up to Soul Point, we'll see what Hawks Gaming are able to do with this Baron. It's a huge chunk over onto NT, a long range paddle star there. There is one sort of light at the end of this tunnel, is that Hawks Gaming has had notoriously unimpactful Barons from yesterday. They had, I believe, 3 total Barons that only netted them a couple hundred gold each. But as it stands right now, this Baron is looking fairly good for them. They're going to grab 2 turrets off of it so far. Honey looking for an opportunity onto Optimum, but can't quite shoot the arrow. Knows he does have Leap available. While Hawks Gaming are just encroaching in, trying to control as much vision as they can while they teeter-totter these waves, trying to keep all 5 members now into the mid lane. They're trying to see if they can pull Optimum apart from the rest of the team, but with no teleport onto Aramic, they need to make the call to regroup as 5. That's exactly what they do, as Dasher's going to find a paddle star onto Yutora Mayashi. The sleep not going to find his way onto him to follow that up, but that's about a third of his HP gone for trying to clear away a pink ward. So Aramic has flash available, so there is opportunity, but Optimum's going to find him there. He's going to get a good stun onto him. It's going to be a long amount of time spent just eating long-range damage for Pooh there, but that's a pretty good knock-up from NT. Not one that can be capitalized off of, but may have put a little bit of fear in the hearts of Hawks Gaming as they're going to take the call to back off. I'm surprised that Aramic didn't pull the trigger there and go for a flash over the wall to get that play started up, but Hawks Gaming playing a little bit more reserved here. And they'll just be able to back off of that one. They have a decent gold lead, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon, so Hawks Gaming are just going to back away. And ultimately, I don't think this is a bad call from the side of Hawks Gaming. With the way that Sengoku has been seriously struggling around these objective fights, my internet is continuing to be throttled. I do sincerely apologize, guys. I don't know. I will go try to figure out how I can remedy this shortly after, but Frontier. Okay. But what I was going to get at is just Sengoku has been seriously struggling around their objective fights this game, and Hawks Gaming have just been implying this pressure that Sengoku seems to be feeling, where they're just feeling very antsy around these objectives, and Hawks have just been finding so much value in their sort of weak knees that they seem to be having here. But for Hawks Gaming, if you don't want to have to send it on that play in the mid lane, you have a minute until this Drake is up here. Great sidesteps from Dasher, making beautiful use of that Nimbus Cloak move speed. Dodging out a number of spells there as Pyrian's looking for a little bit more harass. Ooh, barely not going to find that one with the Battle Star. But a minute up on this Ocean Drake, another Battle Star flying in. Dasher is just a one-girl artillery cannon. He's just throwing as much damage out as he can. But if Hawks Gaming open up on one more of these plays around these objectives, especially with Sengoku feeling so pressured for this Ocean Drake, I would hope that Hawks Gaming, or I'd hope that Sengoku could clean this one up a little bit, unless Hawks Gaming are going to run away with this. Sengoku have inside track to the Baron for now, so they're in a good position. Inside priority to the mid lane, though. It's going to start off with the Bear going all in onto NT. He should be going down, but what will it mean as Aramic comes in? He has the ultimate down. Pyrian's going very low. He still has a decent room to harass there, but eats another Q from Aramic. He's going to be forced to get away. Chicken's almost going to be able to knock him down there, but that's 2 members out of the fight already for Sengoku, and nothing on the side of Hawks Gaming has stuck yet. Armix even just gonna get out of that one, narrowly avoiding the curtain call shot there. He teleports back in. They're going to wait for him to reconvene with the team before they start DPSing this Drake. Blank's in a good position to steal, and he has high burst potential, but will it be enough as Tussel's just waiting? Dragon's gonna reset here as the Spear's gonna find his way in. Where will the smite go? It's gonna go to the bear, so no Ocean Soul for the rest of this fight as Blank might go down. Tussel's gonna chase him back over the wall, gonna be able to get that auto off, and that's gonna be 3 members gone for Sengoku. Hawks Gaming may have just found their game win, as now they can march up the mid lane. No Ocean Soul for Sengoku. And things are looking very grim. You have just an Opperman and an Enti left to try and defend on this one. A little bit of a scuffed game on my end, but Hawks Gaming have been playing these objective fights immaculately. And Sengoku are really going to need to be cleaning up these objectives. You cannot have your mid and bot carries 0-4 collectively. Meanwhile, Opperman is going in for a Bork build while he is 0-3. You are up against a 5-0-5 Kennen. When are you ever going to be split pushing and finding value against him? While Hawks Gaming are going to secure themselves their second Baron, that might be the last thing that they need to end this game. As that's going to be a hook onto Enti there. Will they be able to capitalize? The Stone Plate's going to keep him up and safe for now, as Pooh's going to be the one who pays for their sins. Honey's trying to kite it out with Opperman on the other end of the map here. He will be able to find that kill, but Jin's going to be able to pick that one up in the trade. Tussle now, in the middle of everyone, is going to go down. Sengoku now, the ones pursuing at the end of these objectives. Curtain Call might be able to keep anyone from backing, but Armix says, I'll tank for you, Dasher. You get away to safety. As Armix just dodging out in the world, he almost kills Pyrian there. As he's gonna be forced away. Dasher comes in through the portal jump. Auto is able to find one. Sengoku over eager to try and shut down Armix and cash in on a little bit of that gold. Dasher coming back to save Kennen. In almost a cinematic masterpiece, it kind of felt like Armix stood in the way. He said, go, leave without me, but Dasher returns to say, I won't leave you behind, knocking down Pyrian with that auto attack. This is a 1k gold advantage for Hawks Gaming, and when I look at Sengoku, I had just restored my faith in you. You just had 2 back-to-back games. One with almost this exact same comp that you guys executed on beautifully. Where are things going wrong? And now a high-speed bear is going to be running straight into Opperman here. They can't quite capitalize off of it all the way, but Tussle won't lose too much HP in the process. Is going to be Righteous Glory down, as they're not going to be able to walk past all of the members of Sengoku to get there, but they can just siege down this mid lane turret, or this bot lane turret. Armix and Dasher not over there means they don't get the Baron empowered minions, but the amount of damage that you're trading from Dasher is enough to make it worth your while, as that is the last of the outer turrets falling. Sengoku only inhibitor and Nexus turrets left. Hawks Gaming with 30 seconds on this Baron. They might look to try and open up one more inhibitor. Pyrian's gonna eat a sleep. Death Sentence almost finds him, but the clone does a great job of tanking out on that Paddle Star. Opperman's going to eat an exhaust, and Dasher looking for an opportunity to throw damage there, but Tussle meanwhile is in the middle of everyone. He's trying to just back away. He has extra HP, so isn't too worried. He can take up these curtain call shots without too much to worry about in that front. Pooh is now might just be another sacrificial lamb, but is going to be able to pop himself away to safety. Pyrian going very low again. He's just trying to do what he can, but the re-engage is here from Hawks Gaming. Armix gonna find one. They have super minions in the base now. They might be looking to try and end this one here. That's going to be one Nexus turret falling. Pyrian coming over the wall, but he just does not do enough damage, as Opperman's going to be forced to leap away there. Yototomiyashi's doing what he can, but how do you walk up to this comp when you have nothing that can just beat down their front line, and their back line just does so much damage? Hawks Gaming flying high, as they're going to take this game over Sengoku. in stunning fashion as well. Where is Sengoku going wrong, as they just have these random losses where they just look like a team that can get nothing started for themselves? But those objective fights were objectively terrible from the members of Sengoku. Every time that an objective fight would go on, Hawks Gaming were just yanking a bit after bit after bit. They said, you'll give us 2 kills, we'll take 3 kills. We'll take the objective with us. One after the other, Hawks Gaming picked apart every objective fight until they were able to close out on that game. And then even at the very end, when Sengoku have to put it all on the line, there was never a point where Sengoku were taking a hard engage. Obama never had an opportunity to ultimate. Enti died before he was able to throw out the depth charge. You have a full range Jin just throwing out curtain call shots, which was likely the most amount of damage that he ever got off here. We're gonna have to end it on that one, as Hawks Gaming looking good, taking a game off of Sengoku before their next game against V3 Esports. Don't go anywhere. I'm your host, Dr. No. If you guys are enjoying, feel free to drop a follow down below. I do all of the English commentary for the LJL, so look forward to the rest of the games coming up today. That being said, though, who is this Hawks Gaming? Where have they been in the rest of the split? And what have you done with the Sengoku of old? We'll let all of that be brewed upon while we take a short break before our next game. Don't go anywhere, and thank you all again for tuning in. Gonna take a brief break, like I mentioned. Get back in time for Hawks Gaming versus V3 Esports. Don't go anywhere.
これちょっと福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングがその上位を狙っていくことも十分可能なパフォーマンスをしてましたね。見せたと思いますね。あとはやはりそのレイトゲームに行く構成ではなくて、アーリーゲーム、ミッドゲームで戦える構成といったところが SHG にとっての一つキーポイントになりそうですね。そしてこの後の試合の構成というところも注目してみていただければと思います。それでは勝利した福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングのアルミク選手へのヒーローインタビューがございます。下月さんお願いいたします。
はい、こちら福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングのアルミク選手にお越しいただきました。お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様です。ありがとうございます。
福岡対決勝利いたしました。いかがですか？はい、
そうですね。やっぱり戦国ゲーミング今上位のチームなんで、昨日も TFM に勝てたのもありますし、やっぱり強いって思ってるチームに勝ててすごい嬉しいです今。や
っぱり自信につながりますか？
はい、そうですね。最近調子もみんな全体的にやっぱり韓国人コーチさんが入ってきたこともあって結構みんな調子いいね最近みたいな感じなんで、自信にもつながってきます。
ありがとうございます。それでは勝さんお願いします。
はい、その自信がついてきたというところもあるのかなと思うんですけれども、アルミキ選手といえばもともとそのアウェーカー選手とともに選手ではあるんですけれども、そのアナリストの部分をかなり手伝っていたというところからの、夏選手復帰だったじゃないですか。でこう成果も出始めてというところ、実際どうだったんですか、その選手復帰っていうのは。
そうですね、選手として一応やれるならやりたいっていう気持ちはずっとあったんで、アナリストもっていうその裏方の仕事っていうのも結構興味があったんで、そこはやりたいっていう気持ちでアナリストはやったんですけど、今回ダッシャーがミッドに戻ってやってみようみたいなチーム内で話があった時に、それなら俺トップできるよって、俺がやれるんだったらやるよっていう気持ちで、やるからにはしっかりやろうっていう気持ちでやってます。
なるほど、いいですね。そして先ほど韓国人のコーチ、スイーツ選手と、ザンダラック選手コーチが、入ってくださってるじゃないですか。どういう影響が今その SHG に出てきてるんですかね。
そうですね、やっぱりマクロの細かい部分とかだったりとか、そうですね、やっぱりあと韓国人のコーチさんって結構厳しい、お二人とも厳しい感じですごい、例えば1日なんか起きるのなんでそんな遅いんだとか早く明日大会だから早く寝ろとかそんな感じで、良くも悪くも厳しく言ってくれてるんで、みんな気を引き締めてやれてるっていうのが結構でかいかなっていうのは思います。
本当によく見てくれてるんですね。
はい、
そしてその、ドラフトのところでもちょっと結構気になっていたのが、結構そのアルミク選手がウーコンであったり、今回のその懸念であったりっていう、その集団戦の要になるようなチャンピオンを取る傾向結構あるのかなと思って、ここは何か狙いがあるんですか？
そうですね。なんだろう。今のゲームはちょっとトップの主導権っていうんですか、そのラインをプッシュできる、今ヘラルドとかが大事なんで、主導権をうまく取りやすいっていうんですか、懸念が。まあ、今の試合なかったんですけど、アパさんにやられて。でもそういう部分で、そういうチャンピオンをピックして、集団戦でもある程度ファームできてれば、ダメージを出せるっていうキャラで、まあ僕のスタイルとかに、チームのスタイルとかにも合ってるかなってことで、そういうのを練習してますね。
なるほど。そのアルミキ選手のそのスタイルなのかなと思うんですけど、最近よくくるくる回るなと思ってるんですけれども、なんか本人、自分でもツイッターに言ってましたが、あれなんか気にされてるんですか？
いや、別になんかそんな、あれはなかったんですけど、なんか、くるくる、なんか、カツリオンさんでしたっけ、くるくる、あ、違う、
あれは、ね、
家
家川君が、ね、くるくる回ってアルミキって言ったら始まりですね。
なんか言われて、ああ、回ってんのかなって思って。意識はしてないですけど。
ありがとうございます。あと最後にですね、その SNS に出ていた写真なんですけれども、なんかプー選手がね、哺乳瓶で粉ミルクを飲んでて、でなんか話によると、粉ミルクがアルミキ選手のだっていう話なんですけれど。
そうですね、僕が買いました。
あれはなんで飲んでるんですか、皆さん。
なんか、プロテインとかよくみんな飲むじゃないですか。
はいはいはいはい。
プロテイン、個人的にあんまり体に合わなくて、で、手っ取り早い、なんていうんでしょう、体に合って、太るよっていうんですかね、筋肉とかつけたいようで粉ミルクを飲み始めてます最近。
ああ、なるほど。なぜ哺乳瓶で飲んでるんですか？
哺乳瓶で飲むのはプーさんのこだわりとか言って飲んでます。こっちの方がいい。
プーさんだけなんですね。わかりました。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。それでは最後に続いての試合が現在単独1位の V3 スポーツとの対戦になりますが、意気込みの方お願いいたします。
はい、僕たち今調子も良くて波にも乗れてると思うんで、その勢いで V3 にも気負わず頑張って勝ちたいと思います。応援よろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございました。福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングのアルミック選手でした。それでは次の試合までインターバルです。
ピリアンが下からエーテルチェンがダッシャーにスネアとして入っている。おっと取ったのはタッスルだ。さあここから雷撃の嵐、アルミックが追撃を狙います。エンティが逃げる先は相手ジャングル内、怒りを伸ばしてスタンが入る。さあここにイグナイトからファーストブラッド獲得はダッシャー、クリスタラーノ、そして当たった。合わせて宣告フックが入って2キル獲得は福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング。この動きはさあしっかり対応、テレポートからエンゲージを狙う福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング。まずはエンティにフォーカスを合わせた。そしてスタンで捕まえた。エンティストップウォッチ、ただ裏からやってきたアルミックはアルティメットをまずは使わずタッスル、嵐を起こすものを狙いに行ってドラゴンを取ったのは福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング。追撃は決まる。ブランクにも届いた福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングがここで3キル獲得。バロンの体力は30を切った、2000も切った。どちらが取る、これは取り切った。打者を狙いにいったピリア、しかしすぐさま行くぞ。ストアルミクのランページ。このドラゴンピッツァ内の物資の視界取れてないですか。
いやリセットがかかってバレてしまった。
さあブランクが姿を出した。さあこのブランクどちらが取ったのは福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング。ブランクはなんとか逃げ延びたが、その間に1キル獲得、ピリアを倒した。さらにはタッスルの追撃決まって2キル目も福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング。そしてダッシャーが流れるようにゆとり回しを打ち取った。それを回避し続けている。さらには爆雷発射、ツーマンノックアップ。さあここは気をつけなくてはいけないか。ピリアンがプーに対してバスを出し切った。合わせてブランク1キル獲得。さらにはエンティのフックが突き刺さる。2キル獲得が戦国ゲーミング。福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミングを1キル返してはいますが、ここでタッスルが捕まって3キル目。戦国ゲーミング反転狙えるか。ピリアン体力を整えて戻ってきます。エーテルチームはしかし当たらない。槍がプーに入りました。